Join your host, Maddie Roche, as she brings you into a community of fee-only financial advisors who are successfully building profitable businesses that serve the next generation of clients. Learn from innovative advisors whose unique stories will inspire you to dream big and take action on your goals. Are you ready to live your best life and help your clients live theirs? Then you're in the right place.
Hello, and welcome to XYPN Radio, episode 324. I'm Maddie Roche, your host. Today's interview is with XYPN member and founder of SJK Financial Planning, Wes Shannon. Wes has been running his Fort Worth, Texas firm for 6 years and recently reached the point where he feels like he built his ideal firm, despite feeling admittedly a little swamped. We discussed the numerous business plans Wes wrote before he started his fee-only firm, how he handled transitioning clients, and how hard the first 3 years were. And then we talk about why now at 64 clients, he's benefiting from his preparation and endurance. Wes gives really great advice around the nuances associated with serving both individuals and 401k plans for small businesses. And he talked a little bit about how he established a buy-sell agreement with a like-minded advisor recently. I loved hearing Wes talk about why networking has been so beneficial to him and how he strives to serve his clients as best he can. If you want to know what it's like to be 6 years into building the firm that you love, then this episode is for you. Tax planning and preparation is an enormous value add for your clients, but taxes can very quickly become overwhelming as an advisor. XY Tax Solutions is the tax team in your corner that works with advisors to offer expert tax services to their clients with 3 different client engagement options to choose from to meet your unique needs. Partner with XY Tax Solutions to integrate tax preparation and planning into your firm, and don't sweat tax time this year. Visit xyplanningnetwork.com/XY Tax Solutions to learn more. Also, be sure to go to xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP to join our private group just for XYPN radio listeners. It's a community of advisors we've all been looking for that's there to provide support when we need it the most. Best of all, it's free. I encourage you to check it out. Again, that's xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP. Hello, Wes. Welcome to XYPN Radio. How are you?
Very good. Nice to see you, Maddie.
Good. Nice to see you too, Wes. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a number of years. Wes, why don't you introduce yourself to our fabulous XYPN Radio listeners?
Yeah, I'm the owner and founder of SJK Financial Planning in Fort Worth, Texas. And SJK are the initials of the heirs to my dominion, my 3 children, Sam, Jim, and Katie.
I love that.
I started the practice 6 years ago. And about a year and a half into it, I joined XY, and it's been fantastic. It's been a good resource for my practice as I build it. And
Awesome.
I've got 30 plus years experience in the industry and was working for a hybrid RIA insurance broker-dealer arrangement, and felt like it was time to do my own thing. And I wish I had done it a lot sooner.
You are not the first person to say that live on air.
Yes.
I'm interested in what made you feel like it was the right time.
Well, a lot of things. I'd got my 65 and was doing some financial planning. I needed to be a CFP, and I had not finished my undergraduate school. I had raised 3 kids, put them through college, but I hadn't finished. So my youngest son said, "Dad, college is easy, go back and get it done." So I enrolled at a CFP program at the University of North Texas in Denton, and it took me about 3 years. And while I was working, and I finished that and sat for the CFP, and then started the firm about 9 months later. And all during that time, I'm working on the business plan and preparing for this. I was frustrated in that I didn't like the firm I was with controlling who I could do business with and who I couldn't, and controlling the size of the accounts that I dealt with. I really wanted to make financial planning affordable and available to people that need it, that don't necessarily already have $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you give us a little bit more context of kind of who you were working with and in what capacity versus who you are today?
I was with an independent broker dealer. I had an insurance license. My family has a background in insurance, a 3rd generation property and casualty agency here in Fort Worth. My grandfather started. I was working with them. I was doing financial planning and security sales, variable products through the broker dealer. They also had an RIA, so I had my 65, and I was doing some. We were using the InvestNet was our basic software we were using for tracking the accounts and so forth. And but frustrations were like I had a $1 million client who I was doing a fee, and he'd send me a son who had like $20,000, and I wanted to do a flat fee, and they were saying, no, it's too small. You have to charge a commission. And so those are things that started making me think, there's a better life out there.
There is.
Yeah,
And were you watching any other advisors, or you kind of started as XYPN started nearly? And I'm wondering, did you know the space existed?
No, it was really cool when I found out about XY, because I found we had some of the same values. I hate to say this, I didn't even know about the independent RIA world till I went back to college. And all these years I've been working in the business, I never heard of that end of the RIA field as an independent. And I was also a member of the FPA, and I met a gentleman there who kind of was a mentor, and he encouraged me to go out on my own. And so that was part of the process.
Holy cow. And I'm trusting that you didn't learn about independent RIA space in a class in an undergraduate school.
No, it was it was actually meeting some advisors for a scholarship luncheon is how I found out about it. So yeah.
Fabulous. It often does take those other advisors to kind of show you what you can do, just like this podcast does to the listeners who haven't yet started their firm. So
it was very amazing to me to see someone not have a Series 7 anymore. And I was like, what? And they go, yeah, you don't need the Series 7 if you're an RIA. And I was like, what? I never heard of that.
What fun.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you give the listeners a little overview of SJK in terms of who you work with and number of clients, things like that?
Certainly. Yeah. It's funny, in my second or third year, I guess my third year, I hired a marketing consultant who I met through XY. And she pointed out, I kept saying I didn't really have a niche. And she went through my clients and said, yeah, you do. Most of them are small business owners. And I was kind of like, well, duh, I had to pay somebody to tell me something so obvious. But I do focus on small business owners. I have about 31 million in assets under management, 64 individual clients, and 7 401k profit sharing plans. My 401k profit sharing plans make up about 1/3 of my assets and about 1/4 of my income. And I structured it where I'll take I'll start somebody out at $150 a month in a Roth IRA, a young kid. But I charge a traditional AUM on that, 1.5% or something for a small account. But when they get to about 700,000, I go to a flat annual fee. I don't mind sharing. It's $8,000 a year, so I'm a bargain at $1 million, and I'm a real bargain at $2 million.
Wow.
But it's worked really well. That was kind of my business model. Was I said, I really would like to just focus on 50 clients, paying me $8,000 a year apiece. That's a great income, and I can take care of that in an excellent manner. And that's still my goal. Well, I'm not. I'm only at about 14 at that higher level. Of my 64 clients. As I fill that out, then I'll hope to bring in another advisor and start somebody else getting started in the program.
How did your fee structure change over the past 6 years as you've built?
It hasn't. I actually set that. I was telling Alan Moore this recently we were having drinks. I said, I've never changed my fee schedule. I did change what I would charge just to do a financial plan without any assets.
Okay.
And I did raise that. I raised it about 30% higher than when I started. And I added a little twist to that. When someone hires me to do just a plan without any assets, I put it in the contract that says after we do the financial plan, within a year, if they decide to bring their assets to me, I give them credit back for what they paid me for the plan against their asset charges. And actually, That's worked out pretty well. I've had a few people just kind of wanted to get to know me, know what I was about. And then later they brought their money to me.
Wow. Yeah. Now, I know some advisors would say, well, Wes, you're undercharging on those $2 million clients, and they do require more complexity and things like that. What's your response?
Well, first of all, I think I keep my expectations in that I'm pretty clear cut what I do and what I don't do. And I like for my clients to call me at any time because there's a small number of them and they're only people I like, because if I didn't like them, I wouldn't do business with them. I'm at that age where I can be a little choosy. But I don't want any one client to own me. And I find advisors that charge more depending on the larger accounts. They'll get to where they feel like all their time is committed to this one or two very large account that if they lose it will really hurt their business tremendously. And I just don't feel like I need anybody to own me.
Wow. I honestly, Wes, until you had mentioned that, never thought about it that way. And I'm wondering, I mean, for an advisor who is servicing on a not flat basis to the $2 million client versus something, they do end up spending more time and almost playing favorites, right?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And I think I try to communicate to the client that I'm only going to do this much.
Right.
All right. And I think they get the feel that, hey, for what I'm paying him, that's what he does. And I don't, I think I give excellent service, and I'm available I call myself a financial concierge to my clients. I mean, I've had clients call me on vacation saying, hey, somebody's been hitting me up to buy a timeshare. What do you think? I go, give me the numbers. I'll call you back. Call back, say, hey, it's a good deal if you do it this much or don't. Or they'll call, say, should I buy or lease a car? And I'll say, give me the numbers, we'll crunch it. Or I've had clients bring their grandchildren in for me to look at their financial aid packages for school. I love it for them to call me all the time, but I'm not going to do their tax return. That's their CPA's job. I'm not going to do their estate and trust documents. That's going to be the attorney's job. And as far as the financial plan goes, everything is driven by the financial plan, but I'm not going to force someone to link their accounts if they're not comfortable doing it. I'm just going to say, it makes the software Right Capital work so much better if you do, but if you don't want to, that's fine. When we work on it, you'll have to give me numbers to manually fill things in. So I talked to a lot of other advisors, and it seems like they do a lot more work than I do. Now,
interesting.
The West Coast advisors, I've noticed they all have clients with all these stock options and RSUs and things like that. I rarely get into that. And maybe that's a middle of the country type situation, but it's also with small business owners. You're not going to deal with that.
Right.
They don't have an issued stock. It's usually closely held. And that's so we don't have to deal with those kind of issues. So
wow.
Yeah.
And so the $8,000 a year, are they paying monthly for that? Or are you pulling from investments?
Oh yeah. I pull it out of their investments monthly in advance.
Wow.
And I think it's important I get paid, and as a business owner, they appreciate that.
Totally.
I'm getting paid, you're getting paid. We're all doing business. So
yeah. I'm interested in the segment of your business that are the 401k plans. And I know some members serve on them, but I'm interested just for context. What does that mean? How did your company change as you welcome that as a service offering?
I have a background from years ago of employee benefits, doing group health, group ancillary life, disability products. I started doing 401ks back in the 80s. And so it's just always been a part of my practice, especially as a small business owner. It's a good employee benefit to put in that can be a controlled cost and a great vehicle for the employer to start taking money out of the company. I don't do any, and I found this interesting. I've talked to a lot of advisors, and they do the solo 401ks. I don't have any solo 401ks. All mine are businesses of 10 or more employees. I've got one that I was looking at it, and I'll be honest with you, it seemed a little more complicated than doing a 50 life 401k. But I use companies that I'm very familiar with for my 401ks. I really favor Securian Retirement, Securian Financial Group. I've worked with the rep there for over 25 years. They are a totally transparent, revenue neutral administrator. They'll even pick up the co-fiduciaries on the picking of funds. They don't have any of their own proprietary funds. They are RIA friendly. They let me give them my fee schedule, and they put it into the contract. And they're extremely flexible. I recently had a quote that I worked on for a company. who didn't want any asset charges whatsoever. He wanted to pay them all as a benefit for his client. So we converted everything into a fixed annual dollar amount. And so they're very flexible to work with, and they win awards for their top service all the time. So it makes it easy when you're using the right administrators. And I have a couple of plans that I use a third-party administrator, and I run the money through TD Ameritrade with the other assets. But that's the real key to it.
Yeah. And how do you charge on that?
I charge an asset under management schedule starting at 65 basis points up to like 45. But then once again, when they get to $5 million in plan assets, I fix my fee.
Wow.
I cap it at 22,500, I think is what it is.
Wow.
But 401ks, I've said this before, I feel almost guilty in that other than wearing a mask and holding a gun, it's about as close as to robbing. It's such easy money because I'll call my clients every 6 months and say, hey, let's do another meeting. Let's do some enrollments. Let's answer questions. And invariably they're like, no, we're good. Everything's fine. It's good. Keep on going. And the checks just keep rolling in. And now in every one of my 401ks, I also have the owner's personal assets and they're
interesting.
So yeah, it's usually one before there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's the 401k first and then I get their assets or vice versa. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a very important part of the practice.
Although you feel like it's easy money, it's still something on the business owner's end that they have to have, right? I mean, it's a huge investment to
especially
have.
in this tough employment market, they need it. And it is a lot of work up front. I won't downplay that. The first year, you don't make any money on a 401k. I mean,
okay.
Especially if it's a new 401k. I did one last year. Well, the first month's paycheck is $1.37. And
easy money.
and I flew to Amarillo and met meetings and bought pizza. I got a lot of money. I was doing a lot of things, but today it's $162 a month and it keeps growing. Right. So you have to take it with a long-term approach when you're doing that. It's hard to get an existing 401k because there's just not a lot of inertia among employers to change it. Once it's in place, as long as the employees are not griping, they leave it alone. And that's good for your retention. Right. And it's also why it's difficult to just go out and get new one, kept your old existing plans.
So, I mean, for another advisor who's considering working with small business owners, you said sometimes you have the assets beforehand and then you get the company and vice versa. But is there kind of a marketing strategy towards this that, with small business owners, you also offer this for their company? Yes. And it's part of my website and with the help of my marketing consultant, I've done a little e-booklet about planning for retirement for business owners. I call it the N plan. Once you get your business, whatever business it is, once you get it established at 5 or 6 years into it, you really need at that time to start working on a financial plan for your business. How are you going to get out of this thing? How are you going to make how are you going to reap the monetary value of what you built? And a 401k is helpful along the way is what I have this, it's hokey, I know, but I tell people your business is your cash cow and you got to milk that bad boy. You got to milk it all the time. So 401k is just another tool for milking money out of the corporation into your personal domain or your assets that you can also use for retirement. I have a client who he changed his mind. Instead of selling his business, he brought his kids in. The fact that he had $1 million plus in his 401k profit sharing plan allowed him to walk away and not strap the kids with a bunch of debt. And so we did some transfers and some sales on the real estate, but not the actual business. So it allowed it to foster in the next generation a lot better. So there's a lot of reasons why, but a 401k is also first and foremost, it's an excellent employee benefit. And I try to stress that it's for the employees first and the business owners second. So fascinating. I am interested in kind of year after year how your perspective has changed and your
Oh
experience has
gosh,
changed.
yeah, I think,
And I love having advanced advisors like you around in the network who, started from scratch, and then,
yeah.
6 years later, you're telling a great story.
Yeah,
So
I told this just recently to some young advisors. I said the first 3 years I still looked at the job postings online and LinkedIn.
it's a good thing to say.
And a mentor of mine through the XY Planning Network in my mastermind group, who's a couple years ahead of me, told me, he said, "Wait till the 5th year, Wes, it'll just bust loose." And he was exactly right. And so that's another benefit I've gotten from XY is that I'm in a great study group or mastermind group of 6 of us from around the country at different ages and different geographic locations, and we're about as diverse as you can get as far as a group of people. But we're all good advisors, and we're all in that, right now, we're all in that 6 to 8 years in practice range. So it's a lot of fun. But it goes back to my business plan. When I started, I had a very rigid business plan that I worked on for quite a while. And so I knew where I was going. And it's just like we tell clients for financial plans, well, why would you start a business without a plan? Write a plan. So that's a big help. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
You did, but I want to get a little bit further. You spent a lot of time on that business plan.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I, right after I sat for the CFP exam, while I'm waiting for the results, I downloaded a template from the SBA, Small Business Administration, which is still there. I've referred people to it this date. And I started writing the business plan, and I sent it to about 4 or 5 business owners that I know that I have had a lot of respect for over the years. One of them's a client. And I said, "Here's what I'm looking at doing. Will you read my plan? Tell me what you think." And they all came back each time with something needs to be added. You didn't do enough research on the marketing or the marketplace or whatever it was. And I revised it. In fact, I still have them on my Dropbox. I have 9 versions of that plan that I did from about March to September. And finally, when I finally got one that I thought, I felt like I'd covered everything and had the thumbs up from people I respected, then I went ahead and filed for the LLC and got things started. So, yeah.
Wow. Where did that intentionality come from in terms of really wanting to get it right?
Well, one, trying to be a better financial planner, I realized the value of having a written plan. 2 is I have started businesses. Lord, I've had a long haul trucking company that hauled munitions and explosives for the Department of Defense. I've had an insurance agency. I've had a hair cutting salon franchise. I've had a landscape business. I'm probably missing something else. Anyway, I've done a lot of different businesses, and most of them have been learning experiences. I always said about the trucking company, I got the equivalent of a MBA from the Wharton School of Business and only paid 3 times as much for it. So,
oh, no.
So, for the first time, in all these years of entrepreneurship and so forth, I decided I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to write it down. And I even, figured out the amount of capital I needed to survive and that kind of stuff. So, one thing that I was fortunate, I got to take some of my clients with me. Part of my business model was expecting if I could get 75% to follow me into the new venture, I'd be successful. And it was very humbling and rewarding to find out that 100% of everybody I invited came with me. And that just really was a vote of confidence to say, hey, maybe I'm doing the right thing after all. So that was a big help. Yeah. And fortunately, knock on wood, all those people are still with me today. So that's
wow.
Good.
Wow. I'm interested in the transition of those clients. I mean, how did that conversation happen when you gave your notice to the independent BD?
Well,
how soon after did you talk to those clients?
My broker dealer was very accommodating. It was at the time it was I had been with Symetra Securities, and they got bought out by John Hancock, and they were transitioning into Signature Financial Services. And maybe it was because the Symetra people were leaving, but they were very accommodating. I turned in my letter on December 1st. They confirmed it on December 15th and said, hey, everything's over at the end of the year. And January 1, I started signing up clients. And a lot of my clients I had already at TD Ameritrade. So I just had to do the limited power of attorney to transfer the account to the new firm. So that helped a little bit. So that was useful. There was others that I had to do transfer paperwork and things like that. But yeah, it went pretty well. I was fortunate. I think the staff at Symetra was really burnt out from the merger, and they, like I said, a lot of them were leaving. So it was kind of like, yeah, we'll help you go.
Wow. Well, that's not the story for everyone.
No, it's not. No, I was very fortunate.
Any tips of advice for folks who know that they want to keep some clients, but they're at this independent?
Yeah. First of all, the first thing is to make sure you don't have a non-compete clause. And as an independent broker dealer, they did not have that in our contract. So that was huge. And I had taken it to my attorney to review before I started the process. So I would definitely say, go get some legal advice. Here's another thing that I think we need to remember as RIAs, we're professionals. People are paying us for our professional advice. Yeah. So we don't want DIYers. We want people that will pay for professional advice. Well, we need to do the same thing in our lives. We need to go hire respected professionals in their fields. So go talk to the CPA, go talk to the attorney, go talk to a life insurance agent or a property and casualty agent. I get frustrated when I see advisors trying to find a DIY online. And I'm like, hey guys, that's not us. We're professionals. Let's people are paying us. Let's do the same in return. Let's show the value of professional advice, because there is a value. And so we need to respect that, both as advisors and as clients. And so, so I would start there, and then I would, I didn't have any secrets. I was very upfront with my broker dealer and said, look, I'm leaving. I think you should, once you figure out what your clauses are, whether you can take clients or not. A good friend of mine, we were talking about earlier, when she left a big name brokerage house, she had a 3-year non-compete. And so for 3 years, she did something else. She did some marketing, consulting and things like that until it was up. And then she started to practice. So, work within the rules that you've agreed to. But if you do have a delay, use that time for preparation and planning. One of my favorite quotes is that victory loves preparation. And if you want to be successful, prepare. And that's what I tell clients. That's why we're doing a financial plan. You want to have a successful retirement, let's write a plan.
Totally.
Do the preparation.
Is that your company motto?
It's not. It should be, but it's a quote from Dwight Eisenhower. I like it. Dwight he had a few experiences with success. So.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. How do you market your company? And are you actively seeking additional clients?
Yes. This last year and the last 2 years has just been overwhelming.
Wow.
I am extremely happy onboarding one new client a month. Mm-hmm. And for the last 2 years, it's been more than double that. It's been a lot lately. I'm kind of feeling swamped. Now, most of them, about half, come from the internet. I pay a service. I do social media postings twice a week. I do a blog. I just hired a videographer. I'm doing some video blogs.
Cool.
I'll be going out. I've got a YouTube channel that's I did the first videos that are on there, and they look like I did them. Again, go get professional advice.
Yes.
Because it's pretty bad. But so I'm working on that. About half my clients come from referrals, and the other half are coming from the internet. They're coming from listings. I'm a member of XYPN. They have a finding advisor. I'm a member of FPA. They have a finding advisor. I'm a member of NAPFA. They have finding advisor. I'm a member of the Fee Only Advisor Network. I'm a member of CFP, letsmakeaplan.org. And I have found that when people call me from the internet, I'll go, where'd you find me? And they go, oh, you were everywhere. And that's because of all those listings. Now, so I do a little SEO of my own, but majority of it is all those places. I had a guy call me. We didn't do business, and I'm kind of glad, I think. he was fussing at me because he said, "Hey, you're not the first guy I've talked to. I've talked to several others. I want to talk to somebody in my town, but man, you were on the second page of Google." And I went, "Well, what was on the first page?" And he said, "Fee-only advisors." And I said, "Well, if you'd clicked there, you'd have found me." He goes, "Yeah, but I was looking for individual firms. I didn't want ads." I said, "What was the next one?" He goes, "NAPFA." And I go, "Well, I'm on that one too." And so then he said, "Well, you need to work on that." And I'm like, "Well, we're talking, aren't we?" I don't see.
Totally.
So, like I said, he didn't sign up, which is probably okay with me. However, in this business, you never know. You'll talk to somebody, and 6 months later, they'll come back and say, "Hey, I'm ready to do something." And you're almost like, "Wow, I'd forgotten." So it's just involved in a Business Networking International, BNI. It's a very treasured group. I can't say that it has given me enough business to really make a difference, but it has given me resources of people I can refer to my clients to. So I have a tagline on all my emails saying, "Hey, if you need anybody, you need a plumber, you need a new car, you need a banker, you need a mortgage broker, whatever it is, call me. I'll get you hooked up with somebody." And that to me, I think that's my value as a financial concierge. Well, call Wes, he'll know somebody. And they call and I hook them up with somebody.
Wow. I never thought of that either, that
No.
part of your value is really bringing those internal referrals.
I want people to call me. I mean, and it's kind of hokey, but I write my cell phone number on my business card when I hand it to a new client and say, "I'm an empty nester. You can call me at night or call me on the weekend. And if I don't answer, I'll call you back." And
wow.
So I've had interesting calls over the years, and none of them are bad or that I can't. People are just wanting some help, somebody to bounce it off to. And you think about it.
Totally.
You don't want to go talk to a lot of times people don't want to go talk to their family or their friends about a financial situation. But if they have somebody they can talk to that they're paying, I mean, the other thing is I keep reminding people, I'm working for you. I'm on your payroll, okay? Use me. Pick up the phone and call me. You're the guy paying my bills. And so that just kind of drives it home a little better too.
Totally. Oh, yes, of course. That confidant that you can turn to with those questions is so much the value.
It is.
Now, I caught the word swamped in your last few answers. You're feeling a little swamped. What does that mean?
Well, it means that I'm not able to goof off 3 days a week like I usually do. No, I mean, I've got about 4 financial plans I'm in the middle of working on right now. And it's the end of the year. I'm doing some, Roth conversion analysis, that kind of stuff. It's a good problem to have, but I have to admit that the way I've built the business, it's a great income and I do have a lot of freedom. I mean, I'm taking off most of next week for Thanksgiving. And when I take off, I'll block the calendar from anybody online scheduling anything, but I'll talk to a client if they call. I mean, they're my friends. I mean, that's the beauty of this business is I've got 64 people that are friends that are my clients. And so if they call, it's great. So it might help.
What a beautiful perspective that when you really have hand selected your clients, you don't mind hearing from them.
No, you don't. And I tell them that up front. I say, if we do business, the first meeting is both of us are trying to fill each other out. Yeah. And I tell them, I said, I only do business with people I like. And so if you're my client, then I like you. Call me. I don't mind. And a lot of them know my wife, and they know the story about my kids and that kind of stuff. So it's a joy. It really is.
It feels so much like your business and your personal life have integrated really well together.
Yeah, they have. I mean, that's probably a downside from a business standpoint if you look at the long term, in that the firm is me. Okay, and so when you're looking at the transferring of a firm or getting the value by selling or something like that, it's very akin to like a medical practice of a good doctor or a law practice. So, those are things that need to be in your mind as a business owner of an RIA if you're a sole practitioner. But at the same time, it's very important to have a contingency plan. And through XY, I met a younger advisor up in Wichita Falls area, just north of Fort Worth, who Derek's 38 and I'm 59, and his practice is about the same size as mine, and we have the same philosophy. And so we entered into, a little over a year ago, we did a buy-sell agreement that says if either one of us gets sick or hurt or can't work, the other one will take over the clients and service and pay the other one for their business. And that's no telling where we may go in the future with that. We may, talk about a merger or something, but right now it's just good to have. And because I have clients who'll say, well, what happens to you? What happens to my money if something happens to you? And I go, well, I got this guy. You're going to really love him. He's twice as smart as I am, and he's younger. So, so that's an important part of the practice. But I think in order to enjoy it, I really enjoy what I do. I mean, I have clients go, how long are you going to work? I go, well, why would I quit? It's fun. I just talk to nice people all day long.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have employed staff members, correct?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is that part of kind of your, I guess, talk to us a little bit about that decision.
Well, okay. Yeah. The decision is right now, I'm just greedy. I don't want to give up the money. And I can do the work myself right now.
Fair enough.
I probably will have to, as I grow this next year, probably start out with part-time virtual assistant or something like that. That seems to be what a lot of people do. I would like to bring on a younger advisor at some point. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that I talk to business owners about when a lot of them start saying, well, I'm going to bring on somebody young to take over the business or whatever. I remind them that it usually be about the 7th or 8th person you hire that'll be the one.
Oh gosh.
So don't get, so many times I see guys go, well, I hired this young woman. She's smart as a whip. She's going to take over. She's going to run things. And then it doesn't work out. They get all dejected and, and well, that was a bad idea. I'll never do that again. And I'm trying to say, no, it's a great idea. It's rare that you'll get the right person on the first try. So just, be patient. Well, I give that advice to the owners, and I think the same advice myself as I talk to young advisors. And one of the nice things about going back to school as an adult was I met a lot of younger advisors, and we stay in touch, and we have a beer every quarter or whatever. And so I've got a lot of people that I'm talking to that I would like to see maybe bring into the firm. And so, yeah, that's part of it. But as far as employees go, I'm not opposed to it. I can do everything right now pretty easily. Right. And if I never go over 100 clients, which my goal is, again, 50 is the goal at a certain level. So I've put a cap on it, and I'll never go over 100 getting to that 50 goal. But once I get to that 50, then I'll have to have somebody to take care of the others.
Totally.
And so, but I think that's another key for a new advisor is have a vision of where you think this is going to be. What's it going to look like? What's the point where you're going to say, I did it. I got my full goal. Now I'm really, this is what I was setting out to do. And have that clear. Have that part of your business plan. I mean, that was in my business plan. So,
totally. And just to clarify, the 50, what is the type of client that you're trying to get 50 of?
50 clients that have 700,000 or more of assets under management that we do financial plans for. They're at my flat $8,000 a year fee. Yeah. And I'm really big right now on trying to keep my average client age down. It's funny, the young man that I have a buy-sell agreement, his firm's a little bit bigger than mine, but his average age of clients is like 74 and mine's 54.
Really?
And he's got a lot of old money out there that he knows. And he has a flat fee like mine. It's very similar in a lot of ways. But I really take to heart what the original mission was at XY Planning Network was we want to bring financial planning to young people that are getting started and give them the values of having a financial plan and a planner when they're young, instead of waiting till they're in their late 50s and they've accomplished a lot and they've gathered assets. And so my older clients have allowed me to take on new ones. And I took on a son of a client who's 22 years old, just got married. He's a master electrician, and we're doing $150 a month into a Roth.
Wow.
He's got his whole future ahead of him. He's going to make a lot of money. He'll probably have his own business someday. This is the kind of guy I can work with for a long time and be of value. And so that's what, most advisors can't do that because I'm making $1.60 a month on this fella. But those type of people are what's the future of my firm. A lot of my top clients were homegrown. They weren't at that level when we started, but now they are. So I'm looking for people that are progressing in life. Now, if someone comes to me with $250,000 and they're retired and they're just living off of it, that's not really what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm really looking for somebody that's going somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. That's where I feel like I get the most joy of being as an advisor to help somebody along the way.
Well, you very much are doing, like you said, kind of what the XY model was preaching, was that the way to be profitable is to allow them to get in and pay for your services with the new service model. And that when they do have, the assets to manage, they're there and they're trusting of you and bought in.
Exactly.
I'm interested in just kind of revisiting those first 3 years a bit, knowing that a lot of our listeners haven't launched their firms yet. For someone with you who is so beaming with enjoyment of his work, I can't imagine the first 3 years having been difficult, but what was hard about it? What had you looking at other jobs?
It was as much fun as it is now. Don't get me wrong. The hard part was you're not making the kind of money you want to make. Right. And so that's frustrating. You take a cut in pay that first year or two. The other part is figuring out the software and getting a clear purpose of what it is you're doing for your client. I probably spent way too much on software to begin with, but it's worked well for me. In Texas, I was audited my third year by the state. And fortunately, I had good software programs in effect that I was complimented by the auditor that I had all the documents readily available and easy to see.
Yay.
So yeah, it felt good. And they still found some mistakes. I've told other advisors in Texas, at least, I'm sure it's true in a lot of states. The first 2 days of the audit, they're trying to find out if you're a crook. Okay. They're looking to see if you're a thief. And if you're not a thief, they kind of calm down a little bit, okay? But they first go in. Oh, that's what it's all about. They're going in, they want to see, your personal bank statements, clients' statements, business statements. They track that flow of money, and per the contract, how are you charging them? Where's it going? And once they get that done, then they think, okay, this is an honest advisor. And then they find a few nitpicky things, and you got to fix that, and it's all good for you. So a mentor of mine said that the audits in Texas, they're very thorough, but they're very fair, and I can live with fair. So that's something. But again, that first couple of years, it's figuring out, what's the way to this business. I mean, even in my business plan, the software that I thought I needed, some of it I didn't need, and some that I didn't write down, I needed. Okay. So that was the big, and that's where, I actually started before I was in XY. I think XY was just getting started. XY today offers a lot more of that tech package that helps an advisor a lot. But it's, everything from filling out E&O insurance applications to figuring out where you're going to store your documents.
Right.
And how are you going to generate quarterly statements, and what financial planning software are you going to use, and what does that look like? I hate to admit this, first year, I didn't have a true exclusive financial planning software.
Oh,
I had a deal that I'd done in college that was we did a retirement model. It's an old insurance-based software, but it did retirement analysis, savings analysis. It was pretty crude, but I could put it together and piecemeal the plan. So it took a while for even got it. So I think starting today, I at least would have access and know about some good products for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you do anything in the first 3 years that you felt like, it slowed you down, it cost you a lot of money, you wish you had done differently?
No, not really. I'm an old salesman by training.
Yeah.
I started out in insurance sales and life insurance sales in the 80s. And, I hit the ground running, meeting people. I got involved in the business networking groups. And here's something I learned probably first and second year. The best way for me to go get new clients was to go see my existing clients. And I made a point of going to see everybody, going out to their place of business or meeting them at their house or, but it was by going to see them generated new business. It might be, oh yeah, I was telling my son he needs to talk to you. Or, hey, I want you to sit down and talk to Joe. He's my operations manager here at the company, and he's got some questions. Or my sister had had asked me, can you talk to her? So it was amazing. That was the most effective marketing, was to go see my clients. That helped a lot. There wasn't very much new clients coming in from marketing, social media or the internet that first year or two. Some of it had to be that I didn't have that big of a presence. I hadn't spent that much money on it. Social media marketing is a lot like Field of Dreams. It's, build it and they will come. And an old salesman like me, I had a little hard time with that. It's true. I'll tell this to anybody listening. If you build it, they will come. It is important, but it takes a big step in faith. Yeah, I wouldn't be happy just sitting around waiting for the phone to call, for the phone to ring. So I had to get out and do something. So I had to go see people. And then the first year, I still had my insurance clients, and I would see them. I sold off all my insurance business after the first year. So I still had those renewals coming in. So technically, I wasn't a fee only until the second year with the CFP board model. So I sold that. So just marketing. And marketing is just put yourself out there, be yourself, be genuine, be sincere. And when people are saying, well, I'm not into marketing, yeah, you are. You got a job one day, didn't you? I mean, that was marketing yourself.
There you go.
You probably met that significant other. That was because you were marketing yourself. So, most of us are marketers. We just don't know it.
Yeah. And I appreciate your focus on being a salesperson too. This is a job that so many of you are able to enter into because you have such backgrounds in sales and you with sales and being a small business owner already gives you such perspective. But we should never underestimate the importance of being able to sell oneself in services. I mean, you've got to be able to talk about your fees confidently, be able to talk about your service model confidently. And be looking for those follow-ups with the brother and the ops manager and things like that.
Yeah. It just, I used to tell people, and I still tell people, I've been basically self-employed since I was 22 years old.
Wow.
And during all that time, I've never been unemployed. I've been broke a few times, but I've never been unemployed. I always had something to do. Okay. And so it's this guy, when you start your own business, you might start off, it may seem you're broke, but you're not unemployed. You got a job. You're working for your new business. So give it a full day's worth of work, however that manifests itself. And, so that's just the basic kind of work ethic on it.
Well, Wes, one of the things I appreciate about you and your experience here is that, I've talked to a lot of members over the years, and the folks who know you just speak the world of you. They just nice. You're an XYPN member fan favorite for sure. And I think that speaks to your sociability and your willingness to lean into these networks that you're part of. It's not every day that an advisor can list off a number of different networks they're part of and are active with. And I'm wondering, kind of from your perspective to a new advisor, what is the power of networking?
Well, in our business as RIAs, I have never met another RIA that I felt was a competitor. Okay. Our competition, I had an old boss in life insurance sales years ago, and he would say, our competition is not New York Life. It's a new bass boat. It's a new refrigerator. It's a new car. That's what our competition is. Okay. Our competition with our clients is that they don't save for retirement or for their college education. They go have a good time with it, or they go out and buy some shaky investment that their brother-in-law suggested. That's our competition, okay? So none of my fellow RIAs are competitors. We're all colleagues. And there's a lot to be had from that. Every person I've made as a friend through FPA or XY and NAPFA, I've learned something in every situation. Even someone who's 2 or 3 years behind me in their practice, I'll learn a new idea. It's a wonderful community. And it's gotten to the point now where I even refer people out to other advisors, and other advisors have referred business to me. One of the nice things we do in XY is we do all focus on a niche. And so, there's a new member, not a new member, but a member is new to me here in my city, who she is very good with federal employees.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I've have a member in my mastermind group that's his specialty also, and I've sent people to him. But now I have someone locally that I can send to. So that's it's important to network because you're going to learn something.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I everything I learned was from another advisor. I don't have any original ideas really. They're all just things you pick up from other people. And then as you mature in your practice, you have an obligation to pay it back to help others.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it always there's benefits we get from referring others that are hard to qualify, but if my representative at Securian Financial, who does a great job for my 401ks, if I send another advisor in Dallas to her and they do a good job, she just thinks more highly of me. Yes. And that those are just things that I can't quantify that, but it means something. I mean, your phone call gets returned quicker. Or if you have a problem, maybe they can do a little bending to help you out with it. So
totally.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that perspective so much, Wes, especially for folks who don't really understand the power of the network as they join a place like XY or NAPFA, that there's so much intangible value that comes from knowing and networking, and just different ideas that can change the way you run your firm.
Sure.
Is so impactful. If you can believe it, listeners and Wes, we are nearing our time together, although I think I say this frequently, but we could probably talk for another several hours. Wes, I'm wondering if you can put on your hat of advice to our listeners, of course, again, think about what's one piece of advice you could give to our listeners, maybe the folks who are struggling in that first year or haven't yet made the dive. What do they have to look forward to?
Well, what you have to look forward to is this can be a very rewarding career if you choose to build a large firm or develop a very successful solo practice. It can give you the means to enjoy life the way you want to enjoy it, whatever that manifests itself as. Starting out, I would encourage people to do a plan. Please do a plan before you start. And also watch your overhead expenses. Just as any other business, we are a business, and while we focus on what we do a lot for clients, let's make sure we're getting paid for our time, and let's make sure that we're good stewards of our money as far as what we spend it on. I joke about this, but I tell people when they say, "Well, what kind of gifts do you give your clients at Christmas?" I go, "I don't give any gifts. What do you do for their birthdays?" And I go, "I send them a bid emoji and say happy birthday." My response is, "Hey, if you're getting a really nice gift from your advisor at Christmas, he's probably overcharging you." So just
love it.
I gotta use it with my clients and say, "Look, man, you're paying me a flat fee. I'm gonna give you the most honest advice, and don't expect a bunch of gifts because you're getting value." Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. So don't. I think of Willie Nelson when somebody asked him, "What would you tell your younger self?" And he said, "I'd say shut up." Well, if I could tell my younger self something, I'd say the same thing. Shut up. Just focus on what you're doing. Watch your overhead expenses. Follow your plan that you wrote, because you're a planner. That's what we are. we're financial planners. So apply that to your personal life and it'll work out. Just stick to the plan. Believe in the plan.
Wes, I have learned so much on this podcast, and I'm certain other listeners have too. But I really get a sense of confidence about what your lane is and what your value is. And it just, I imagine that translates so dang well to your clients, and they're lucky to have you. And I know our network is very lucky to have you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you
that, Maddie.
for sharing your story on XYPN Radio, and have a wonderful day.
Peace out. Bye-bye.
Tax planning and preparation is an enormous value add for your clients, but taxes can very quickly become overwhelming as an advisor. XY Tax Solutions is the tax team in your corner that works with advisors to offer expert tax services to their clients with 3 different client engagement options to choose from to meet your unique needs. Partner with XY Tax Solutions to integrate tax preparation and planning into your firm, and don't sweat tax time this year. Visit xyplanningnetwork.com/XY Tax Solutions to learn more. Be sure to join our VIP community at xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP to hang out with other XYPN radio listeners, ask questions for future mailbag episodes, and finally, to find a community of like-minded financial advisors. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time.
You are not alone and you are not crazy. It's scary starting, building, and growing your own financial planning firm, and that's why we put together a free private community just for you, the Cutting Edge Financial Planner. Go to xyplanningnetwork.com/VIP or text XYPN Radio to 33344 and join a network of thousands ready to change the lives of Gen X and Gen Y clients.